info session, and I am happy to welcome you all. You're here because you no doubt have questions about Open Ed Academy, how it operates, what it would look like to be enrolled, what to expect if you do enroll, and how it all might work with UFA. So I'm going to go over some slides that will hopefully answer those questions. The slides will take about 15 minutes. That's usually what it takes. And then we will open the floor for Q&A. So if you have a question that's not answered while I'm talking, hold on to it or drop it in the chat. Cami is here to help manage the chat box. So she'll be reaching out to answer those questions as they come in. Or like I said, you can hold your question for the live question answer period at the end. So I'm going to get started with sharing the slide deck, and Cami is going to record. All right, can you all see my screen? You can see that, right?
Recording in progress.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you are here to discover the OE Academy of Utah. The agenda, I just sort of touched on this, but just to give you sort of the what is the Open Ed Academy and some key features and what to expect. I want to start with this. We actually, developed Open Ed Academy through the Open Ed Foundation a while ago. And just recently, we submitted and were approved for a UFA provider school. The reason that we developed the Academy in the first place is in line with our overall vision. Open Ed, many of you are familiar with Open Ed, formerly My Tech High. If you know the founders of My Tech High, they actually had a critical role in developing the Open Ed Foundation, which you heard me say at the beginning. It operates our academy. And our vision for this was to create a school that the Open Ed Academy is a national virtual private school. We serve students from all over the country. And our goal here was to create the opportunity for each student to build the education they needed around them, specifically for them. So we're not a private school that presumes to know more than you about how to educate your child. We really trust parents and believe that you are your child's first and best teacher. We come along to help, to support with teachers, with courses, with accredited transcripts. If that's something that you're interested in, we will provide those for every student, and all of the other good stuff that we're going to get into. But wanted you to have a sense of what our vision is and what our why is on why we created the Academy in the first place, and what our goals are in bringing that to Utah Fits All. So what is OE Academy of Utah? You'll see there's a lot on this slide, and I'm going to speak in more detail to many of these different phrases that you see here on this slide. But I want to make sure that you understand going into it. I touched on this a little bit before. It's not Open Ed. So there are not, for those of you who are familiar with the Open Ed program, there are not learning logs. There are no reimbursements through Open Ed Academy. As a UFA provider school, we are not allowed to give you money. That's not something that we do. If you were to enroll in OE Academy of Utah through Odyssey as your private school, your reimbursements would come through Odyssey, right? Your remainder funding after tuition was paid for Open Ed Academy, you would be able to use on the Odyssey marketplace and through Odyssey reimbursements. So just to kind of set the stage on how we are different, and we are not the same as Open Ed. Open Ed Academy is a completely different entity. But because we are able to partner with Open Ed on some of the services, that means that our Academy students are eligible to participate in all of the clubs, the events, the in-person meetups, the field trips throughout Utah, our different, like I said, our clubs and if you ever participated in any of our online community events, so like Creative Studio or Flex Fridays, those are all open to Academy students, totally optional, but they are available. Additionally, tutoring support, optional live class time, all of these things we make available to you because, again, We're not here to prescribe what's going to work best for your child. We're going to listen to you tell us what that means. But we want you to know how many things we have made available in case you feel like they're part of what you want to do to move forward with your child's education this year. I touched a little bit before on the transcripts. High school diploma, we are a diploma granting private school. So if you have a high schooler who you'd like to be on our diploma track, we actually have more than one. We have several different diploma tracks, again, to meet different students' needs. And last but not least, a full-time private school as part of the Utah Fits All marketplace of private schools. And we do have open admissions and rolling enrollment. So I'm going to talk about the way that that impacts your process right now a little bit later on in the presentation. So this personalized learning experience is something that I've mentioned a few times, but want to dig a little bit deeper on what this means for your experience if you were to be an enrolled student in our school. So you choose your subjects and your pace. What I mean by that is if you wanted 2 courses to start now and then another 2 courses to start in 6 weeks and another 2 courses to start 6 months after that, you absolutely could. Our homeroom teacher is going to be assigned to you and to your student. Your homeroom teacher actually manages your entire experience with us. So you're not going to hear from 6 different teachers for one student in your household. You have a homeroom teacher who has vision into all of the classes that you signed up for with us, and then sets with you all of your different pacing opportunities, your different curriculum options, your different course choices. That's all managed by your homeroom teacher as your advocate and partner in this experience. So that pacing and the subjects completely up to you, the extra support and community activities I touched on, a lot of different electives. Oh, this question comes up sometimes from folks who maybe were using My Tech High a few years ago. We don't have any technology requirements. I know that was a feature a few years ago that some people remember. We don't have any required sort of technology electives. We have a lot of optional ones. If you want to opt into any of our technology electives, you certainly can. And we like those and we're proud of those, and kids generally tend to really like them, but it's not a requirement. I'm going to speak a little bit more on the experiential credit option later in some more detail. So your Open Ed Academy teachers, I touched on this a little bit. For our students in grades K through 2, there are daily live times. This is like a morning meeting, get together virtually on Zoom, get the day started, circle time, things like that. Again, completely optional. We don't make you schedule your family around our schedule. If it's something that works for you and something you're interested in, we're always there and we invite you to join us. You can do it sometimes, always, never. And then for grades 3 through 12, those lifetimes are meeting weekly. Again, still optional. One-on-one sessions are always available. Your homeroom teacher will be meeting with you pretty regularly at your requested cadence. Your student will have academic teachers, but again, we've set it up so that they're not all reaching out to you individually. Your homeroom teacher manages that contact. Tuition and benefits, tuition numbers should not be a surprise. We've published these pretty widely, but I want to just make sure that it's very clear. There are no surprise costs. There are no hidden fees. There will never be more taken out of your Odyssey account than this initial tuition amount. So, a lot of what you're trying to decide right now is how to plan for what amounts to spend where. And I want to make sure that you have that reassurance that Open Ed Academy will never be deducting more than the total tuition amount that you see on the screen right now. Included in that tuition are all the things that I've talked about before. We consider 6 credits a full load. We consider 6 credit a full-time enrollment, and your tuition buys you up to 12 months in those 6 courses. That's why I was talking earlier about if you want to, do two at a time, you can. If you want to start all six at once, you can. If you want to do one at a time, you can. If you want to do three and three, there are a lot of different permutations on how to do that, and all of them are available to you. Over 35 student clubs and interest-based and then fully flexible schedule course by course. So let's get into the details on how the curriculum options work. So I want to talk about some of the things that being a private school in UFA, what that means as far as what that definition is and what those requirements are. I want to be really upfront about what we as a private school in UFA are obligated to provide and what that might mean for you. So for each course, if you've been to our, Cami, if you haven't yet, could you drop the link to our course catalog page in the chat? For each course at each grade level, you're going to have multiple options for digital textbooks available through Open Ed Academy. You can look through our course filters. So when you get to the catalog page, you can go through and look at filter by grade level is how I'd recommend that you do it. Just put the grade level and then let it show you all the options for that grade level. And then the filter is a little bit finicky sometimes. So if you're looking at more than one grade level for more than one child, I'd recommend that you clear filter and refresh the page and then pick your next grade level to make sure that it's showing you all the options. At any rate, you can pick multiple different textbooks, multiple different digital textbooks for each course for each grade level. Those are the different curriculum choices available through Open Ed Academy. Because we want to offer a really flexible experience for our families, we also will give you the opportunity, if you have a curriculum that you prefer, to bring that and have our teachers support it. Because every course at Open Ed Academy includes a teacher. So our teacher will have the ability to implement alternate digital textbooks and alternate curriculum for a specific course. That's part of the conversation that you'll have with your homeroom teacher as soon as you are enrolled and have that first consultation. You'll have the opportunity to talk through what you want to do for your curriculum options for each of your courses. The other thing I want to say, I don't remember if I put it on a slide, so I'm just going to say it because I'm thinking about it right now. And if I don't say it while I'm thinking about it, I might not remember to say it. Earlier, you heard me say that we consider 6 credits a full-time load. In UFA, a private schooler is defined as a student who receives the majority of their academic instruction through the private school. So for that reason, our UFA students need to take at least 4 courses with us so that the majority of their academic instruction is coming through the private school. So we will offer through tuition up to 6 courses per student per year. Because you're experiencing our private school through UFA, the minimum that we'll be able to maintain with you through the school is 4 credits. So anywhere between 4 and 6, you're golden. If you want to do 6, we're happy to do that with you. If you want to do 4 or 5, we're happy to do that with you as well. Oh, this is one that I wanted to make sure to touch on. The curriculum can be values-based or have a non-secular point of view. So a lot of people ask about the good and the beautiful. You absolutely can bring that. There's no obligation on our part to only teach secular curriculum. So those, you could bring that. That would be fine. And then I want to talk about our experiential learning credit. One of the things that we thought a lot about when we were designing Open Ed Academy is the fact that only the learning that takes place in the school seems to be the learning that's validated a lot of the time, right? There's so much learning that children do outside school that doesn't get any credit because it's not learning that took place inside the school building. We wanted to make sure that we had a mechanism when we designed Open Ed Academy to give academic credit for learning that takes place in real life. And that learning that takes place in real life takes so many different forms. We have a process in place for our teachers to work with you to understand what experiential learning you have planned for your child that year. For older students, we've seen this take the form of like a part-time job. If you think about a 16-year-old who just moved to, shift leader at their, fast food restaurant part-time job, they are learning so much through, customer service and sales and finance management and um, supervising people, the interpersonal. There's so many things that go along with that, that in a traditional system, you would never gain, high school credit at a traditional school for the learning that was taking place outside the school building. We wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case at Open Ed Academy and that we gave a way for experiential learning to gain credit. The way that we do that is if you have an experiential learning plan or an alternate sort of curriculum that you're using with your family, with one of your students, we give you the opportunity to work with our teacher because it would be one of our Open Ed Academy courses, and every Open Ed Academy course comes with a teacher. So our teacher would be working on that with you in collaboration on a mastery basis portfolio. So what would happen is, we use Unruler for this, just because we like to be able to facilitate it that way. This is a collaborative experience on Unruler. You would actually meet with the teacher. You would go through together what the outcomes and goals are associated with that learning. And then that gives the opportunity for the learning to be outcomes driven. What does mastery look like, right? What are we hoping to accomplish with this? And when will we know that we've hit that mastery goal? What will, your child be able to demonstrate when they've hit mastery on this? So the learning artifacts that would go into the accomplished practices portfolio, the cadence at which you'd meet with the teacher about that ongoing learning in order for them to make sure that they have enough eyes on it, that they can then give it a grade on our Open Ed Academy transcript. Those would all be case-by-case situations. Our teachers have a lot of training on this, and they are very, very interested in working with you collaboratively. There are some homeschool programs where, you have to sort of document everything you're doing, and then a certified teacher will look at it at the end and determine whether it's good enough or not. That's very much not what we're doing. First of all, because we're not a homeschool program, we're a private school. And then second of all, because our teachers don't act as judge and jury, they act as teachers and helpers along the way. So this is a collaborative experience where they're very much interested in understanding what the progress steps will be and then working those into your shared collaborative portfolio. The students really do enjoy figuring out what to add to the portfolio as they're working through an experiential learning opportunity. If you're for smaller kids, like I gave an older kids example, for smaller kids, if your science course includes building a garden from seed out back, all of the things that go into that as far as parts of a plant cell and what does soil nutrition look like and what is photosynthesis and working on the water cycle and pollinators, all of those things contribute to learning artifacts in that portfolio for the experiential learning. And then as that's going on, you're meeting again with the teacher throughout so that the teacher is the one giving the grade on the Open Ed Academy transcript at the end of that experience. I know that was a lot of information. That tends to be where we get the most questions. So I may have over-explained it, but I'm trying to pre-answer questions that folks tend to have when we start talking about that. So I apologize if you were all square and then I just kept going. But at any rate, if you do want some information on how to get started with applying, we, like I said, have open enrollment and open admissions and rolling enrollment, which means that right now your priority does not need to be filling out an open ed application. I don't need you to do anything for that. What actually you need to prioritize is making sure that you have completed your Odyssey application. That Odyssey application is open, is on their platform. As you fill it out, after you enter your contact information, your demographics, your proof of residency, proof of identity, tax information, the last step there is choosing a private school from the dropdown. As you see that dropdown, it's going to include OE Academy of Utah. That's us. If you select us in that dropdown, you actually go to My Dashboard in Odyssey, and that's where all your information is housed. That's why I don't need you to worry about any kind of open ed application right now, of Net Academy application right now, because as you complete the application in Odyssey and choose OE Academy as your private school, that populates My Dashboard in there, and you're all set at that point. But if you do the opposite, if you work on an Open Ed Academy application, but you don't do the Odyssey part, it doesn't get you anything. So that's why I'm saying, and that's why our directions always are, start with your Odyssey app, make sure you've completed that, make sure you've selected OE. For parents, there may be folks on this call right now that I've already spoken with, maybe Cammie's spoken with, maybe we've emailed. We have a lot of different support avenues open for parents. There are a lot of questions right now. You're in a compressed time frame. There are hard deadlines from Odyssey on this. And so, you have a lot of questions, and that's very understandable. So it's a lot of questions in a short amount of time. We're doing everything we can. I apologize if you've chatted in and haven't gotten a response yet. And we really are real people manning all of these different contact options. We don't have any AI bots who do our answers for us. Everything that you send in comes to a real person. And we want to continue to invite you to reach out with your questions. We do have a Facebook group. We just got it started, so we hadn't had one before, but you're welcome to find it and join. It's Open Ed Academy 2526 is our private group on Facebook. And that is the end of the presentation. So,
recording stopped.
All right, this is the portion of the meeting where I ask you what questions you might have for me after listening to me talk for quite a bit. This slide took longer than 15 minutes this time. It actually took a while. Cammie, is there a theme in chat?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions I want to kind of bring to the group if we can talk through. The very first one was just out school collaborations, if that will work with this. So having you just kind of talk through that. If students can take the courses through Outschool and how that will look with UFA tied. So that was one of the very first questions.
We do have a partnership with Outschool. Our partnership with Outschool is that for students who sign up and pay tuition, that student gets a $100 credit on the Outschool marketplace. However, I haven't listed any of that on our UFA website, and you didn't see it in my slides just now because I need to check with Odyssey. There are very, very, very hard and fast rules with UFA that a provider in the marketplace and a provider who's a private school cannot give any money or inducements directly to students or families. And I am in the process of checking with them as to whether that $100 credit for Outschool would be seen by them as any kind of giving money or inducements to families directly. So we do have that partnership for our students who, like I said, around the country that we're currently serving, who have paid tuition out of pocket, and that's different than paying through an ESA like Utah Fits. So that's a question that I have with Odyssey. I don't have it offered right now because I'd rather be safe than sorry. If they do decide that it's something that they don't feel comfortable with, then I'm going to honor that decision. They, as the program manager, get to set the rules. So I want to honor what they decide on it, and I don't have an answer yet on that.
The next one in the chat, Teresa, is really wrapped around multiple foreign languages beyond Spanish. Is that going to be a possibility?
Right now in the website, you should see Intro to Spanish, Intro to French, Intro to German, and Intro to Japanese. If they're not showing up that way, it's because the website isn't filtering correctly. But those are available as courses with teachers. They're going to use Duolingo as their digital textbook, and then the teacher supports that course. Those are the 4 that we have teachers for. So those are the world language options currently. Now, in upper grades, I'm going off. We have a really, really vast course catalog, and I'm going off memory right now. But in the upper grades, I believe there are additional world language courses offered through some of our other digital textbook providers. But and I think it's more, I think it's more than just Spanish, but I would have to check.
Cassidy, I know you have a question since yours is so specific. I'm going to wait for yours until the very end when we kind of close out to maybe just hang tight on with Teresa and I.
If anybody wants to ask a question, you can come off mute. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. You can come off mute and ask a question while we're here. I'm going to keep going through the chat, but if you just want to go ahead and ask, you can.
Hi, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So my kids are going to be part of a co-op that is called Wonder World Explorers. It does like science and history and world culture. Could I potentially use that as like their experiential learning credit? And like, they learn so much in that class weekly. And so like, is there a way to use that class as that credit, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. It sort of depends on, some of the things that I was talking about around setting learning goals, and then what you want those outcomes to be, and then what the learning artifacts would be to support those outcomes. If you feel like it sounds like something you've done before, so you're familiar with like how it kind of looks and how it goes throughout the year. If you feel like all of those things that are necessary for our teacher to issue that grade, if you feel like all those things would be present, then I feel like it would fit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Melinda has a hand up. Melinda, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to do that. I looked at the course catalog and I just have a couple questions. Like, I'm not familiar with all of the different courses. Is there somewhere I could go see information about it, or like kind of understand it better as I'm looking at choices?
Yeah, it's a common question because it's sort of this double-edged sword where we wanted to offer a lot of options, but also it can be so overwhelming to see so many options and not feel like you know enough about each one to kind of make a decision. What I'd say is our teachers are very trained in kind of talking through what those options look like. And because you're not yet at the point where you'd be having conversations with our teachers, because we usually do that after enrollment, I would say shoot me an email right now with any that you're kind of looking at that you're curious about, and we'll get you more information on those. So it's tough because, like I said, I mean, I think we're at about 1,000 different curriculum options when you take it all across 13 grade levels, and then multiple options per subject per grade level. So I can't give you more information on all of them, but if there are just a few you're looking at and you would like more information on those, send me an email. It's really easy. It's just admin, ADMIN, @openedacademy.com. That'll come to me. Just list the one, like a couple that you're looking at, and I'll make sure we get you more information about those.
Okay, thank you. And then I just had one other question. If we wanted to do 4 credits with you versus 6 credits, is the tuition the price the same?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. I should have said that when I was talking about it. Tuition is the same. So you pick how much you want to do for that tuition. You can do 4 credits for that tuition, you can do 5 credits for that tuition, or you can do 6 credits for that tuition.
Okay, and then how much time would you say like we should allot each day for each credit per credit?
Yeah, great question. It's because, I talked a little bit about this. It depends on how you want the courses to be paced. And
Right.
you can pace each course different ways. You can say like, my son loves math. He's going to fly through this math class. I can't stop him from going on there and doing math. And I would love for the math class let's plan for this to take 8 weeks tops. If you're going to do a course in 8 weeks, that's going to mean more time per day in front of the computer, right?
Mhm.
Each one of the courses you could take 12 months on if you wanted. That would mean maybe 2 days a week, maybe, right? Spending in there. So as you control how compressed or extended each course is, that will control how much time you want your child to be spending on their courses with Open Ed Academy each day or each week. So you can
Okay.
really kind of stretch it out if you don't want it to be, much. The other thing I would do too for people who don't want who don't want it to feel like a heavy load, I really have seen a lot of success with families who just do one at a time.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was
Like,
kind of thinking was like you said,
Yeah.
1 or 2 at a time would be kind of more our style, to just focus on those things for a little bit. But like, how much should I really plan around that?
Yeah. It depends. It's so hard to answer because it depends on the child and it depends on the course.
I know, right?
But
Like,
yeah,
how do we figure that out for us?
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing I would say is, and I think we probably all are in agreement on this, this is not a controversial take on my part. I don't want kids in front of screens for
Yeah.
hours. I mean, we don't design this program to try to make children stare at laptops for hours at a time. That's the opposite of what I want. I think that you can offer a virtual learning experience that doesn't require children to look at screens for hours a day. So, I mean, it's another reason why we built in as much flexibility as we could, because if you get an online program that says to you, like, everything has to be finished by X date, right? Because it's the end of the first semester. It's a date we just made up. But it's the rule, right? So if you say everything has to be done by December 15th, you're stressing everybody out for no reason. You've got kids just cramming a bunch of stuff in on December 13th and December 14th, and they're spending way too much time trying to meet these arbitrary deadlines that you set. So that's another reason why we really tried to make this as flexible as possible so that our kids aren't just feeling stressed out staring at screens.
So explain to me how that would work. Like, I'm sorry, if this is taking too much time, let me know. But like, explain to me how it just they don't spend the time on the screens if they're doing like one of the programs.
Yeah, I think the way that you limit it is by giving them more time, right?
Oh.
So like it's going to be 30 minutes a day instead of 3 hours a day.
Okay, because
That's
there isn't
what I
any
mean.
that is, there's none that's like our printed resources, right? They're all digital.
That's right. And everything on our catalog is digital.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. All right, Brittany?
I just wanted to piggyback on that previous question about the different courses. I had a similar one about maybe which one to use, but it's a little different question. So the homeroom teacher, would they help us know which courses to select for the child? Like, for example, if I needed something that's at a lower grade level than what the current grade is?
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for asking that because it's something that I usually try to touch on. One of the things that's built into the way that we flexibly have designed this is exactly that. For us, at Open Ed Academy, grade level is what you need it to be for your student on any different course. We can get them into, you know, third grade math and fifth grade ELA if you want. We could do the opposite. All of those things are possible, and it's very much part of the conversation that you'll have with your homeroom teacher. That consultation is really them asking you about your child's and about what they need. They're not going to say to you, I mean, if you want to, we can get you a diagnostic exam, we can get you a benchmarking exam if you want to. Or you can simply tell us, this is where I know that he is, and this is what I know that he needs, and that's what we'll do. So it's up to you, and it's part of, to your point, the conversation that you'll have with your homeroom teacher. You can say, listen, I know, he's 10, so like traditionally he's a fourth grade age, but what I know that he needs is a third grade math class. Done. That's what he's in. So it's that simple. We're not gonna debate you on where your child needs to be.
Okay. And so I guess part of that too is the homeroom teacher, I assume, is pretty familiar with all the different program options and can say, okay, this would be the great one to use for math or language arts or.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like they know this one is more video based. And so like we see students have a lot of success with this if they are a student who takes things in like more of an auditory way. This one is a little more print based. So we see students have success with this when they're more of like a visual, like they need to process, like take it in and process and maybe scratch some notes down. They know how those courses are set up. And so as you are talking to them about your child, they're taking that in. They're really just listening a lot. And then as you want recommendations, they'll be able to make them based on that.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Sure.
that answer. Mhm.
Yeah, Nicole.
Hi. Hey, so I apologize in advance if you already went into detail with this, but I would like a little bit more explanation. Because you said that with the funding, they don't pay the families like personally, right? And so say I already bought my curriculum for my kids, how would that work?
Okay, so yes, thank you for letting me clarify. This is an important point. When I say they don't pay the families directly, I mean us, like as a school.
Yeah.
Odyssey has come out and said that they will do reimbursements. They, for a while, were not sure whether they were going to do reimbursements. Odyssey has come out and said that they will do reimbursements. Now, I don't work for Odyssey. I can't tell you what they're going to reimburse. And I would never try to guess. So nobody come out of this meeting saying like, well, Teresa said Odyssey will give me some money for this. What I know is my lane here, which is as a private school provider. But if they have said that they're doing reimbursements, which they have, it feels like a curriculum that you may have already purchased would be eligible for reimbursement. Now, having said that, I don't know if other parents might, because I know you all have to stalk that Odyssey website and read everything they put out in order to try to figure out what to do. And I empathize very much. I don't know if they've put anything out around dates. I don't know if it's like only things that you've bought after a certain time period can be reimbursed. I just don't know. So I'm I'm just so hesitant to try to give you Odyssey advice because you kind of just have to go straight to the source.
Okay, so it's just odyssey.com, or where would I find that information?
Yeah, it is. Hold on, I have a link. I can drop it in the chat.
Okay, that'd be great.
Or I bet you any of the parents could because, hold on, let me grab. How do I contact? Here you go. I have it. There you go.
Okay,
That's just their support link. And you can ask if the curriculum that you purchased will be reimbursed.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if your follow-up question was going to be, could that be alternate curriculum for use in our academy, which is one of the things that I talked about during the slides.
Yeah, like the value-based curriculum. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I already purchased because I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if your guys' academy allowed for that. And so I was like, I'll just do it by myself. But like if you guys do allow it, then I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I'll look into this a little bit more. Um, so yeah, so I'd be interested in that also. Oh, I had one more thought. And okay, so with you not being certain about this, like how do purchases, I guess, for curriculum usually happen? Is it like through the Odyssey website?
So Odyssey has a marketplace, right?
Okay.
Where they have a bunch of vendors. Some of them are selling curriculum, some of them are selling piano lessons, some of them are
Okay.
selling, right? Direct buys through their marketplace are always covered. And then they
Okay.
also have said that they'll do reimbursements. Now, having said all that, Nicole, for curriculum that you've already purchased, like let's say you already purchased, I know I mentioned it already as an example, but like The Good and the Beautiful, third grade math, we would be able to have our teacher implement that curriculum for Academy credit. So that could be one of your 4 Academy courses if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be reimbursing you for the purchase that you already made out of pocket, but it would count toward your Academy credit, which would mean that it would count toward the tuition that you were paying using your Odyssey fund. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure.
I know, it's
Um,
confusing.
yeah, well, I guess I question that, like, why wouldn't that be reimbursed if it's a credit, if
Oh,
they like accept that as a credit?
listen, I don't know why not, but I don't, like I said, I don't
Oh,
work
so
at
you know for
Odyssey.
sure it's not?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I don't know for sure that it is or that it isn't. Like you have
Oh,
to
okay.
submit each reimbursement to
I
Odyssey
see.
to get their determination on it. Is my
So,
understanding.
yeah. So is the Good and the Beautiful an option to purchase through the marketplace or no?
I actually don't know. Another
Oh, okay.
site, they haven't published the marketplace yet. I think it's supposed to go live on the 21st.
Okay.
Um, I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
No, I
I'm
appreciate it.
sorry.
I will look further into the
Okay.
website. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks. All right, Morgan.
Okay, so I have a question, but I also can answer some of the questions that you were just asked.
Great.
So if you want to know about OpenEd's policy, they just did a Zoom meeting with the CEO yesterday that will be posted on the Utah Education Fits All. That's like the nonprofit that has been helping get the. So if you get their emails, that will be sent to you. If not, you can go to their website. If not, you can also search my name in all of the Utah Fits All pages, which my name is Morgan Aguirre. And I can put that in the chat and I took notes and posted it in all of the pages I could find to go an overview of what their reimbursement, the marketplace, how that applies to private school funding. But OpenEd said that they
Are you saying
would.
Odyssey every time? Sorry, Morgan.
Oh, yes, Odyssey. Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
Odyssey. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I'm probably confusing the heck out of everyone. Odyssey said that they would allow reimbursements for whatever available funding you have after purchasing tuition for a private school.
Good.
So yes, and so if you want to watch that Zoom, it's on the Utah Education Fits All nonprofit organization website. You should be able to, it's UEFA, not UFA. And then, okay, so, and my notes for that is in all of the UFA websites.
That's awesome.
And
thank you.
yeah, I know I was like, wait, I can help.
You heard me when I was talking. I was like, I bet you other parents can help because you all have to, become experts on so much of this.
Yes. And then my question was, can you speak more in, had to walk out in just a second. So you may have just answered this with the last person. How, if we were to do like math or English with Open Ed as our main courses of one of our 4 required, and then we wanted to say use what is the Math with Confidence textbook? How would we implement our own curriculum with your teachers to meet that instead of using the providers that you have for math? Specifically, if that is an option, I would just provide a digital PDF or.
Yeah, so great question. Happy to clarify. I talked about this a little bit when the slides were up.
Okay.
What we use for that, what we would use for that is Unroller, right? So it would be a little bit more cut and dry, honestly, than what I was talking about for Unroller, which was more of our experiential learning opportunity. But with an alternate curriculum, with a curriculum that's not one of our providers, it becomes like pretty straightforward, really, because what you then can do is simply look at that curriculum in collaboration with the teacher and kind of say what makes sense based on the way this curriculum is laid out for us to set as the outcomes for learning. How are we going to demonstrate mastery? What form is that going to take? What are we going to upload as learning artifacts along the way to demonstrate that mastery? Those things are going to be like baked into the curriculum for the most part. It may be something where they have weekly worksheets. It may be something where they have, unit tests or however else they have it set up.
Right.
Those are, and then a lot of times in the curriculum, they're going to simply tell you what the learning outcomes are for the
Right.
unit. Right. So then it's going to be pretty straightforward on what that looks like in Unroller for our teacher to go through and have that opportunity to meet with you. Again, the meeting cadences are going to be a lot more clear based on how the curriculum is set up, right? Is it weekly, monthly? Is it whatever else? How quickly are you planning on getting through it? So, we're going to do a unit a month. So like, let's meet twice during each unit or once during each unit. And then they're constantly kind of checking for the ongoing updates, right, in the portfolio. And then they're able to give like, I don't know if I talked a little bit about like mastery grading, but that mastery grading piece is based on the demonstrated learning artifacts and the achievement of the outcomes. That is all going to be pretty, like I said, straightforward when you have a complete curriculum. It just doesn't happen to be one of the textbooks that we have on our list.
Okay. And just to clarify, that would count if I used my own textbook and worked with the teacher, that would count as one of my 4 required credits, not an experiential credit. Okay.
Yeah,
that was
it sure
biggest.
would. Yeah, because at that point, that course is coming with our academy teacher, and that course is getting graded by our academy teacher on our academy transcript.
Okay, so it's like having a tutor, but like you can provide that tutor with the curriculum that you would like to use, right? Like, so you have an overview, or you have a teacher that's in charge of it, but you're still using the curriculum you want to use.
That's right.
Okay, good. That was, I think, a lot of our questions. So
okay, all right. Thanks, Morgan. And I'm glad we had an expert on the session for some of the overall UFA questions because there are so many. CM had a hand up for a while. CM, if you're talking, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Okay, we're going to come back to CM. Sean?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I don't know
Hi.
if I said it right. Hi.
You did. Good job.
Okay, great. Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, so I think you kind of actually just answered this, but just to be clear, just for clarification, so I know there's no like learning logs, but how are we reporting? Like, how are we like, so you said there's grading. So, and does that fulfill like this reporting requirement?
Yes. So it's not, there's no reporting, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's that what we're not doing is sort of getting really bogged down in um what feels like almost like judginess, right? It
Yeah.
really is that collaboration. It's ongoing. So
Okay.
another thing that I want to make clear is like you, and this could get confusing because from what I understand, ACE had you all using Unroller last year. So what I want to make really clear is that if you are using an alternate textbook, digital or otherwise, right? With our academy teacher and getting academy grading on it, it's not a one-time review, right?
Mhm.
You don't work on your Unruler portfolio for that Good and the Beautiful or, Math with Confidence or anything else. You don't work on that for a year and then just like submit it to someone to evaluate. That's not it.
Mhm.
We're
Okay.
not doing homeschool evaluations. It's not
Right.
a homeschool program, it's a private school, right?
Right.
So that private school enrollment means the teacher is engaged throughout on making sure that the learning is taking place and then providing support, instruction as needed at the level that makes sense for that child. The same way that if you were in a traditional private school, in a classroom, there are children where the teacher spends a lot of their time, and there are
Mhm.
children where the teacher doesn't spend a lot of their time. And
Yeah.
that's very much individualized based on what that child needs. You could have one child who needs a lot of teacher support in English and needs very little teacher support in math, something like that. So, what happens in that Unruler collaboration is a cadence of ongoing monitoring and support for ongoing learning artifacts and objectives. All of those things are very flexible and can change, and it's all happening in collaboration with the teacher throughout the year. We don't want this to be like a huge reporting need. It's not that.
Right.
It really is a collaborative effort to ensure that the course has a teacher at Open Ed Academy, and that teacher is able to, throughout the year and throughout everything that they've seen with demonstrated mastery and providing support where mastery maybe wasn't coming, can be able to give a grade at the end of the year.
Okay. And actually this just came to me. I think like in the law you either have to do an assessment or a portfolio, but do the grades like basically fulfill that?
Yeah, that's only for homeschoolers. And if
Oh yeah. Okay.
you were to enroll in Open Ed Academy of Utah, you would be a private schooler. And yes,
Right. Okay.
at that point, it's private school grades.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That answers it.
Okay, sure. We're gonna have to close the room at 2, unfortunately. So I probably have time for one more question, and I think Daniel is the last hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
Forgive me if this has been answered before, but my question is, the tuition for Open Ed Academy, the 2,900, do we pay that tuition out of pocket upfront and then get reimbursed, or will the tuition be taken directly from the Odyssey wallet?
Great question. I'm so glad you asked that. This is a great one to end on. And also, I said too, because I'm in a different time zone right now, but you all know what I mean. So the way that they handle private school tuition at Odyssey is that what happened, it's going to come out immediately from your total $8,000 wallet, which will leave the remainder in your wallet to be spent on the UFA Odyssey marketplace or through Odyssey reimbursements. So it is going to get right away at the beginning of the year, you'll get your full $8,000 wallet. This is what they've described. And then immediately you'll see that tuition amount come out. The way that that flows, just to give you the heads up, I talked earlier about the importance of getting into if you want to do this, getting into the Odyssey application, completing all the steps of the application. The very last thing they ask you is to choose a school from the dropdown. If you choose OE Academy and you select I'm enrolled, right? This is where I'm going. What happens on the back end, just to give you a sneak peek, is that I have a dashboard as a private school provider. In that dashboard, I actually get a little notification that says, you know, we're going to make up a name for your child, Grace. Grace Lee has decided to enroll. Is this correct? So I click yes, verify. I do that even though I don't have an application from you on my side, because you clicking that tells me that you want to enroll and we have open enrollment. So I click verify. At that point, you're enrolled in the private school on the Odyssey side. And the next thing, the very next thing it asks me to do is enter a tuition amount for your child. So if your child's between grades K or 8, I'm just typing in 2,900, I'm hitting enter. And then if you make no changes before the 15th, when this window closes, they're going to immediately debit that 2,900 from your wallet, and you're going to be left with the remainder in your wallet.
Wow, thank you so much.
Okay.
That's so helpful.
All right, good. Good. I'm so glad. All right. You all have been wonderful. I appreciate your questions. These have been great questions, so thoughtful. I know that you have a ton on your mind right now and a lot of decisions to try to make. You can always reach out to us. If there was a burning question in chat that you did not get answered, please reach out to us. You can reach me, I said this already, but admin@openedacademy.com. You don't even have to remember that, because you can also go to our website and use any of our contact options. You can chat, you can call, you can email, all of those things, and just let us know what questions you have. I know you have a really compressed timeline, and we really want to do everything we can to answer every question. There's a lot to take in, so we're going to try to do what we can to help with that. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. I know you have busy schedules and a lot to do, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us for the info session. We're going to do 2 more of these next week. So, if you have any friends or anyone else making some decisions right now, tell them to come Tuesday and Thursday, same time, and we will see them there. And we hope to see you in the Academy if you feel like it's the right fit for you. Thanks.